Welcome to this Grow Your Own Strategies for Recruiting Education and Training Course Student Candidates webinar, brought to you by the Texas Comprehensive Center at American Institutes for Research. My name is Dan Brown, and I work with the Texas Comp Center at AIR. Here's the agenda for this webinar. You can see what we're going to be discussing in terms of how this webinar fits into a broader set of resources from the Texas Comprehensive Center. We've been supporting Grow Your Own with Texas through the Comp Center for multiple years and cycles of the Grow Your Own grant at TEA. And today we're going to discuss a variety of topics related to getting the right students and the right fit to support your Grow Your Own goals. In this webinar, we will explore, as you can see, why strategic recruitment is important for your program. You will learn and begin to apply 3 strategies for recruiting quality Grow Your Own candidates, and you will get to review some recruitment strategies that other states and districts have found successful. This webinar is part of a greater system of resource development and curation by the Texas Education Agency and TXCC, the Texas Comp Center at AIR. You can find all of these resources on the TEA website for Grow Your Own, or by searching on the web for TEA Grow Your Own. And you can see here a screen cap of what that looks like in terms of what you will see online, the availability of resources. The Texas Comprehensive Center at the American Institutes for Research is one of 15 regional federally funded comprehensive centers designed to provide technical assistance and support to a specific region. American Institutes for Research has operated the Texas Comprehensive Center, and we are pleased to help produce this webinar in September 2019. Now, let's move on and discuss how this topic of recruitment for education and training courses connects to your Grow Your Own success, context for this challenge, and recruiting the right candidates. Now, this conversation isn't new. Texas, like many other states, faces educator shortages, particularly in hard-to-staff subjects and areas, including rural communities. In addition to recruitment and retention issues, Texas demographics are changing. As the state's student demographics change, ensuring that the teacher workforce reflects those demographics is important. Recruiting and retaining diverse educator candidates who reflect the student demographics they work with is an important goal and an aspiration. Finally, increasingly negative perceptions of the teaching profession are currently negatively influencing recruitment efforts, as evidenced by declining enrollment in educator preparation programs. The good news is that by helping lead a Grow Your Own program in your community, you are being proactive in addressing all 3 of these persistent challenges to support the sustainability and strength of the teaching profession. Through intentional strategic recruitment of prospective future teachers, coupled with scaffolded mentoring and clinical hands-on field experiences, you are part of a compelling endeavor to bust myths about teaching and to cultivate a local teaching workforce and sustainable local teaching pipelines that are reflective of their communities and are off to a strong start in preparing to help all students learn. Now let's discuss recruiting the right candidates. To ensure that your Grow Your Own program recruits, develops, and retains the most effective educators, you must first think about how the educator candidates participating in the Grow Your Own program are the best possible fit for your educator pipeline goals. Identifying the right candidate, or the candidate that's a promising fit for your expectations, can help ensure a highly skilled educator workforce. For your Grow Your Own program to be successful in developing a qualified, diverse, and committed pool of educators, however, applicants must consider how to purposefully and strategically recruit the most promising candidates into the Grow Your Own program. When programs recruit candidates who exhibit the knowledge, skills, and dispositions of effective educators for your specific community, those candidates are more likely to have a personal connection to the work and are thereby more likely to be effective in their jobs and more likely to stay in the community and to stay in the profession. The following slides offer a general set of activities that applicants can engage in to ensure that the candidates recruited into the programs are great candidates for the district and for the school. We'd like you to pause this webinar and watch these videos of teenage aspiring educators that participated in local Grow Your Own programs at the high school level. They participated in the National Career and Technical Student Organization, Educators Rising, of which the Texas component is TAFE, the Texas Association for Future Educators. By watching these videos, you can gain a deeper firsthand understanding of the possibilities in recruiting the right candidates to these programs. So please pause, watch the videos, and then press play. Welcome back. Now it's time to do a listener activity regarding what you just heard. You see the questions on the screen. What are your specific goals for your Grow Your Own program? And why does recruiting the right candidates matter in helping you to achieve your Grow Your Own goals? Pause the video and reflect on these questions and jot down a few answers. When you're satisfied with your responses, press play to continue the webinar. Thank you for reflecting on this listener activity. You might have answered something such as, our goal for Grow Your Own is to recruit more diverse teachers to teach in our school district. Or you may have written that you are trying to address multiple special education shortages in your schools. It would be important, therefore, to recruit high-achieving and diverse students to meet these sorts of needs. Keep the answers that you put for this activity in mind as we move through the next sections. You can see that the top two items for possible sample answers to these questions refer to quantifiable needs to cultivate a teaching population that reflects the makeup of the community and the student population. And then some of these bullets reflect the district's recognition that the status quo teaching pipeline is not delivering enough teachers who stay in the district for the long term, ideally to become strong veteran teachers who can spread their expertise. Here in these example responses, the Grow Your Own goals emphasize recruitment and retention, which points to the need to cultivate high caliber candidates who are built to last. Now let's move on to planning and taking action for this level of strategic recruitment. The Grow Your Own candidate cycle is divided into 3 action steps, as you can see above. The first step focuses on defining what it means to be an effective educator, including articulating the knowledge, skills, and dispositions, or KSDs, that are necessary for being an effective educator. This includes the content knowledge, the pedagogical skills, and the general characteristics that make a teacher effective. The second step focuses on customizing the definition of an effective educator for your specific workforce needs. To do this, first identify the specific types of educators or educator vacancies that the district or school have. As a candidate pool and pipeline are developed, understanding which positions are hard to staff, both in the short term and the long term, will inform the specific KSDs, knowledge, skills, and dispositions, you are seeking for your teachers. Vacancies could include a need for math teachers, special education teachers, science teachers, or career and technical education teachers. As stakeholders consider vacancies, you may need to revisit your definition of an effective educator and consider whether there are specific KSDs that should be prioritized or added for specific teacher types in content areas, demographics, or other workforce needs. The third step in this process is to recruit the candidates that exhibit and show early signs of exhibiting the knowledge, skills, and dispositions for the specific job vacancies the school and the district are looking for or planning for. This includes efforts to both actively recruit new candidates into the profession and to create opportunities for candidates to self-select into a quality Grow Your Own program. These next slides will go deeper into each of these 3 steps and considerations for a Grow Your Own program. Beginning with step 1, applicants must first define the knowledge, skills, and dispositions that are necessary for effective educators. To define an effective educator, you must first articulate the knowledge, skills, and dispositions that effective teachers possess, demonstrate, and make visible and invisible when working in the classroom. When we talk about knowledge, we are specifically referring to the factual, technical, or procedural information a person uses to perform a job. For skills, this refers to the capabilities developed through training or practice to perform job tasks. Finally, dispositions includes the general human traits that influence how well a person can carry out job tasks, including physical and mental capacities, attitudes, preferences, beliefs, or personality traits. Articulating and communicating the knowledge, skills, and dispositions, or KSDs, are important for several reasons. First, this process defines the job so that those who lead Grow Your Own recruitment efforts, like school counselors, principals, or educator preparation institutions, know what to look for in candidates. They can scout early signs of those aspects. Equally important, candidates who are interested in participating in a Grow Your Own program have a clear understanding of what the job will entail and what they are shooting for in terms of performance. Second, by defining a common set of the knowledge, skills, and dispositions, you can ensure consistency in recruitment efforts across schools and sites. This establishes a foundational level of expectations that all recruiters can work from and helps to ensure continuity and consistency in terms of the quality of the candidate pool that is being cultivated. This is also true if different educators value or prioritize specific KSDs over others. If there are a common set of expectations all recruiters are working from, then you can remove biases or preferences from the recruitment process. Finally, defining and articulating the knowledge, skills, and dispositions can inform the preparation content, including course sequences and field experiences and in-class experiences that candidates must complete. When thinking about where Grow Your Own candidates are in their educator preparation continuum, there are likely KSDs that are foundational and must be learned to start. By articulating the KSDs that schools, districts, and preparation institutions, by articulating those KSDs, then schools, districts, and preparation institutions can ensure that their course content reflect the necessary KSDs for students. As an educator listening to this webinar, consider the KSDs that were foundational in your becoming effective with your students. What were the KSDs that you saw in your colleagues who were most effective with students? Coming up with a list of KSDs doesn't have to start from scratch. Luckily, there are a lot of resources that have already been developed that articulate what an effective educator should know and be able to do in the classroom, and articulate the dispositions that they would bring to the classroom. Some examples. The Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills, or TEKS, is one place to start when thinking through the KSDs of an effective educator. Within the TEKS are the knowledge and skills that a teacher should demonstrate, such as under Standard 1. It reads, "The teacher designs instruction that is appropriate for all students, reflects an understanding of relevant content, and is based on continuous and appropriate assessment." The specific knowledge a teacher must have includes Standard 1.1, the intellectual, social, physical, and emotional development characteristics of students in different age groups. 1.8, relevant content of the discipline being taught, including concepts, principles, relationships, methods of inquiry, and key issues. Other examples, 1.28, the role of technology in assessing student learning. 1.11, current research on the best pedagogical practices. Those are examples of knowledge, the K in KSDs. In terms of skills, the S, skills they must have under that 1.1, under that Standard 1 include 1.3, use effective approaches to address varied student learning needs and preferences. Skill 1.11, use a variety of pedagogical techniques to convey information and teach skills. Skill 1.26, design assessments where appropriate that reflect real-world applications. The Texas Teaching Standards also articulate specific KSDs that a teacher must demonstrate and are particularly useful if they are broken down by a specific content area. This information will be useful when you engage in action step 2, which focuses on customizing the KSDs for specific teaching positions. Finally, The T-Test, or Texas Teacher Evaluation and Support System, is another resource you can reference when developing your KSDs. T-Test articulates the evaluative KSDs that an effective teacher would demonstrate. Reviewing existing documentation, however, isn't the only way to go about identifying KSDs. You and your colleagues have a wealth of knowledge and experience that can be a critical resource in knowing what would make a teacher effective within your specific school or community. Further, student voice is a valuable and useful resource in knowing what works best in terms of being effective with students who are your ultimate clients. Soliciting their input and feedback can be a useful resource when thinking about KSDs. Finally, parents and other community members can help inform what makes an educator effective in your specific community. These voices can be particularly useful when thinking about the dispositions of an effective educator, because the input will reflect the values and priorities of your community. Now that we have shared what KSDs are, why they are important, and where you can begin to think through them, we encourage you to take a minute and pause the video. When you pause it, consider the KSDs for an effective teacher and jot down your most important KSDs for an effective educator. When you've written at least 3 responses, push play to continue the webinar. At this point, push pause and please do the activity. Welcome back. Here are some examples of knowledge, skills, and dispositions that effective educators have shared at Grow Your Own trainings. All of these items on the screen are components of effective professional teachers, but the seeds of these knowledge, skills, and dispositions can also be seen in students. There are certainly plenty of teenagers who, without formal teacher training, demonstrate these items in their academic and social lives. As we think about growing our own practitioners who will demonstrate these knowledge, skills, and dispositions, it's important to seek out where we may be seeing early signs of strong candidates in these kinds of areas. Before we completely move on to action step 2, though, one thing is important to mention when you is that developing your own list of KSDs can, unintentionally, include a set of biases that might omit certain students from participating in your program. We encourage you to take a few minutes to read the article, Similar to Me Effect in the Workplace, using the link provided on the slide, and potentially to bookmark it because it's a valuable resource. This article specifically highlights some of the drawbacks of looking for colleagues or candidates who are similar to you, including doing so inadvertently. As you read the article, remember your Grow Your Own goals, particularly in regard to increasing the diversity of the teaching staff. If we only consider candidates who are similar to us, what are the implications on developing a diverse teaching staff? Sometimes this does not happen intentionally. That's why it is important to develop a specific plan that has clear strategies to recruit diverse candidates. Once you've read the article, review your list of KSDs that you developed earlier when you paused the webinar. Consider where a similar to me bias may exist in the KSDs you listed out or prioritized, or consider ways you might revise your list to encourage a more inclusive approach to being an effective educator. The second action step in the Grow Your Own selection process is to customize your Grow Your Own recruitment efforts to your specific teacher vacancy needs, both now and, most importantly, anticipated in the future, since Grow Your Own programs have a multi-year journey before candidates actually enter the workforce to fill these roles. To do this, first consider the educator positions that are available in the short term and then projected for the long term. This includes looking at job vacancy data and understanding what are the specific positions that your district, school, or partnering district or school, if you're an educator preparation program, will need to fill. This could include an identification in immediate vacancies for math teachers, or it could include a prediction that several science teachers will retire in the next 3 to 5 years, and therefore you are anticipating those vacancies. Identifying the specific needs of the educator positions will help you to determine what type of candidates should be recruited into your Grow Your Own program. For all pathways, purposefully recruiting candidates who reflect the immediate and future needs of the school and district is important to creating a pipeline of qualified educators who will be employed and stay in the profession and in the community. Once the district and school knows which educators you are looking for, the second part of this action step is to review the KSDs list that was developed for the specific educators you are looking to recruit for. This is an important step in the process because it is likely that certain knowledge, skills, and dispositions might be more or less important based on the specific educator positions you are trying to fill. The final part is to actually prioritize or modify the list to reflect the most important KSDs for the specific educator positions you seek to recruit. Putting this into context, how might the most important KSDs for a special education teacher perhaps differ in some ways from the most important KSDs of a career and technical education teacher? While empathy is an important disposition for all educators, would this be a higher priority for a special education teacher versus an AP physics teacher? Maybe, maybe not, but these are important conversations to have at the program level as you build out your grow your own programs. Now, we again encourage you in a moment to pause the video and again reference your list of KSDs that you developed earlier when you now think about the specific vacancy or vacancies that your Grow Your Own program is seeking to address. Consider what might be prioritized or modified based on that need. Once you've had a chance to do that reflection, please push play to continue the webinar. At this point, though, push pause to revisit that list in light of your teaching needs. Welcome back. Now that you've done some thinking about that, here is one example of how to strategically scout for talent based on specific workforce needs in your context. In the example on the slide, the district is seeking a long-term solution to fill a high school math teaching role by growing its own highly skilled and well-prepared high school math teachers. Since math is one of several content areas that have persistent shortages of teachers in recent years, this is a common scenario. For this district seeking to grow its own high school math teacher, it is prioritizing Grow Your Own candidates demonstrating strong math content knowledge. So there's a K in the KSDs that matter for them in their candidate pool. They're also looking for candidates that have demonstrated enthusiasm for taking on challenging math-related coursework. These KSDs may be bellwethers of quality future math teachers. As you consider strategies for reaching out to prospective candidates, it's also important to think about what makes a student someone that you should consider actively recruiting. When you think of your list of KSDs, what are some places, activities, conversations, or actions where you might spot a student demonstrating these KSDs in action and notice that they might be a quality Grow Your Own candidate and potential educator? Here are a few examples of qualities that you might look for: excelling at public speaking, acting as a mentor for younger students, being skilled at breaking down complex topics for peers, developing respectful relationships with teachers and peers, being motivated to work within the community to affect positive change. Regardless of how you think about some scenarios where students would demonstrate these KSDs, there are important things to keep in mind. First, a student does not need to have every KSD identified to be a desirable candidate to explore a Grow Your Own program. And two, as you are looking at potential candidates, keep in mind the similar to me effect and engage in self-checks to make sure you are not leading with your own biases. Some great teachers don't have typical behaviors, so don't count out folks that might do things a bit different from you. For example, a responsible student may demonstrate this quality by having consistent attendance and timeliness with assignments. A responsible student may also develop this quality as well as compassion by checking on peers and siblings throughout the school day, succeeding at an off-campus job, or leading a community group such as Scouts. In these examples, teachers would need to look beyond the traditional classroom setting for evidence. The third and final action step is to actively recruit candidates into the Grow Your Own program. This step builds on the work completed in action steps 1 and 2 and specifically focuses on how to communicate why a candidate would want to become an educator. Active recruitment means that districts will take the initiative to seek out, speak to, and offer substantive programming and incentives to promising teaching candidates. This is an important change from the status quo of waiting to see who opts into teaching, and that has not been an effective status quo in meeting workforce needs. Active recruitment plans that are well thought out and comprehensive can go a long way in helping to address systematic educator pipeline issues. First, an active recruitment plan articulates the knowledge, skills, and dispositions necessary for being an educator. in the community. This not only helps candidates develop a clear understanding of what the job will entail, but ensures that there are consistent recruitment efforts. When candidates have a clear understanding of what the job involves, they're more likely to self-select in or out based on that information. So having that information clarified for the district and then shared out in clear ways strengthens the candidate pool. When candidates have a romanticized idea of what teaching will be like, they may not realize until too late that they're not a good fit in their preparation career because their expectations haven't been aligned with reality. Conversely, potential teaching candidates might have a misconception of what teaching entails and therefore might not consider becoming a teacher, even though they would be a good fit if they knew what the real job involved. The power of the personal touch cannot be understated when it comes to tapping individual teenagers and having substantive conversations with them one-on-one about enrolling in education and training courses. To expand the reach and increase the number of adults positioned to engage in this kind of proactive high-touch outreach and conversations, be sure to engage the district and campus leadership, middle schools that feed into the high school where the education and training programs are being offered. Involve students in the education and training courses. They can be the best peer-to-peer and near-peer ambassadors for the program since they are so trusted, and involve parents and other community members. Let's go a bit deeper on this idea of the personal touch in recruitment. The most influential action you can take is to facilitate candidate recruitment is to first develop personal outreach to candidates. This includes getting to know potential Grow Your Own participants, including understanding what drives them, what their personal and professional goals are, and thinking about them as potential future colleagues. Second is to offer mentoring support, including answering questions about Grow Your Own and being a teacher, understanding misconceptions they may have about the profession or the Grow Your Own program, and clarifying them. Finally, consider creating opportunities for Grow Your Own candidates to begin learning about different aspects of the job, including the real deal on the day-to-day of the teaching life. In addition to personal outreach to potential candidates, consider opportunities to raise broad awareness of the teaching profession and the Grow Your Own program. This could include developing communication collateral that can be distributed during open houses. Talking to parents of prospective candidates during parent-teacher conferences can be valuable also. And you can see other items on the slide about how to get the word out, stimulate these kinds of conversations, and very importantly, activate the power of personal testimony from students who are in an existing program. Here's some examples of states that are actively recruiting teachers and Grow Your Own candidates, programs and districts. Indiana's website, which is on the left, a screenshot of that, is interactive and a concise one-stop shop for future educators to develop a deeper sense of what teaching entails. Additionally, in Washington State, Renton School District, which I encourage you to look up on the web, described one way that helped them effectively and actively recruit candidates. They invited professionals to share their career paths at an informal luncheon, and students who were identified as future teacher candidates and who showed interest in the program were invited to that lunch, where they met and listened to guest speakers, including pre-service teachers, master teachers, and the school's principal. Each spoke about their career path and experiences in education. Students learned about the expectations of the program, and identified students and their parents were sent detailed information about the Grow Your Own program that they could choose to enroll in. Additionally, teachers-teachers.com is a valuable website used by multiple districts and states to have a streamlined approach to recruiting teachers. Consider who you may work with to actively recruit Grow Your Own candidates. Pause the webinar and brainstorm at least 3 ideas. Then push play to continue the webinar. Welcome back. Here are several strategies to consider as you plan for strategic, active recruitment of Grow Your Own candidates. Thinking about a small group of fired up teacher ambassadors. Who are the leaders that really want to represent and grow and pay forward their passion for the profession? Those are the folks to activate for this type of initiative, not folks who may vent or grumble or be very discouraging of the teaching profession. Also, emphasize the hands-on field-based opportunities. Young people love the chance to get out of the typical classroom, get off campus, work one-on-one with young people, and have an impact today. They're planning for their profession for down the road, but the fact that they would get to work with young people in these field-based opportunities today is very, very attractive and breaks up the typical high school experience, which many young people are seeking. To review, here again are the 3 steps for preparing and executing strategic recruitment for grow your own programs. First, we start with identifying the knowledge, skills, and dispositions we value in effective teachers and in promising future teachers. Then we get specific about the types of roles we are building pipelines for, so that recruitment activities can be targeted to fill those needs. Third, we actively recruit promising candidates with a thoughtful personal touch and with opportunities to participate in compelling, valuable, relevant programming that meets their interests. The Texas Comprehensive Center has some other supports that you can find to support Grow Your Own programming, including the TEA Grow Your Own webpage that we looked at earlier, and then these available on the screen now in terms of community practice, other webinars that have been produced, resource drops, which are available in PDF form for download, and then additional resources on the Texas CTE website. As you continue thinking about recruitment strategies, please consider consulting these resources and supports that are already available. Thank you for watching this webinar produced by the Texas Comprehensive Center at American Institutes for Research.